pandemic, how has this transformation been going for you personally, I know you're engaged in so many activities besides, writing music. You're also on the GEMA, on the Music
Yeah.
Rights Society representation. So it's probably taken a lot of your time too, but this is so important what you're doing, and it's so diverse. So how has it been going for you personally?
In August 2020, I decided to remain in Germany for the long term. And then I decided that if I remain here, I shall become active in the music scene. So in London, I became a member of the Musicians Union and was just starting to spread my network out. And I wanted to do the same in Germany. So I put forward my candidacy as a delegate of the extraordinary members of the GEMA,
Okay.
which is the performance royalty organization in Germany, and then in the Curia of composers. So they're composers, they're lyricists, and they are publishers. So I'm a representative of the composers, and it's been an absolute lovely ride. It's great to get to know so many various people. Shortly after I was elected, I became a member of the DKV, which is the German Alliance of Composers, and got active in the young composers group and also in the songwriters group Verso. And I must say, together things go easier. And it's yeah, it's just so fitting that you chose that video and that song, because it really started off my work and thriving here in Berlin
Mhm.
to reach out to other people. And I think that is so important, just to get in touch with other people. That's why it's so great you're doing this summit. Even if it's digital, it's just so important to reach out to other people, to learn from them, to get to know them, to see what they're doing, and just to broaden one's horizon. The other delegates of the GEMA, for example, there are some people who write musical pieces for church bells,
Oh, wow.
something I couldn't be more away from. Like it's a sphere I'm so far away from, and just knowing about that and talking to people who do that is just so broadening, so advantageous. And I always recommend to reach out to any professional group, especially with other musicians. Also, do it digitally as you're doing it with the Create Summit, but also try doing it in person, because in person, I mean, one just gets to know each other so much better. And it's been amazing to take part in the members meeting of the GEMA
Right.
in May, and just to get to know so many people, and so many positive things have happened since then. I'm working with a producer who's also very active in the GEMA, and he's been producing people since the 80s,
Wow.
and it's
Congratulations. Yeah, that's
thank you.
awesome.
Mickey Moise is his name, and it's not so much that you approach people with having something in mind or having an agenda on already.
Mhm.
Just approach people for the sake of approaching people and getting to know them, and be interested and learn from them, because everyone has something to offer which you don't know about yet. And that just can be so horizon broadening. And then once you get to know people, you befriend them, then maybe at some point you'll work with some of them. But I find it so important to be in touch with the people, with the scene around you.
Yeah.
And I started doing that last year, and it's just been really lovely.
Congratulations. I really want to, talk more about this topic. The rights, how you guys are handling now all this digitalization of music, because we will have a whole panel on like arts and new arts of tech. We'll talk about the NFTs, on
Yeah.
during Create Summit. Of course, it'll all be available on for viewing afterwards. But I'd be super curious to know like how it's done in Europe right now, and what are the major concerns, what are the major issues for you in this as a musician in this industry right now?
Predominantly as a songwriter, and the GEMA is the organization for songwriters and composers,
right,
and lyricists and publishers. But that's all the copyright side of things, and not particularly the performance right. And for songwriters, it's been a struggle and quite a change with having this situation where streams are not paying much.
right,
Yeah, like for example, with my yearly income, the income from streams, and I get everything because I'm an independent artist, is about 0.1% of my yearly income. Trying to build a business on that is quite a challenge.
yeah,
And we need to think of other ways of being able to do that as
right,
songwriters. Verso, for example, the songwriter group within the German Association for Composers, put forward the motion that songwriters get money for the sessions they're in. They actually get paid for the work they're doing and don't have to wait until the royalties are paid out at some point in the future, possibly if the song
yeah,
is used. For example, songwriters definitely also need to have other income possibilities in their mind. Synchronization is a big thing. The demand for music has never been so big, for ads, for
everything,
everything,
yeah,
videos, because everything becomes digital. Like museums, even libraries are putting forward videos and content, and they need music because music is the emotional drive for most people. For example, in 2020, I was able to secure a deal with a library, which is, one wouldn't think a library would want to do a rights agreement with a musician, but
right,
they did. And also, at some point, hopefully, but I'm pretty sure, live performances will be possible again, and then royalties from live performances will also make or they do make a considerable amount of the royalties which are paid. So that's this one side of thinking a bit broader how we as songwriters will need to work. On the other side is, and that's been very predominant in Europe, the different organizations and campaigns going on in the UK and here, and some are joint ventures. In principle, hashtag fix streaming now, which very much emphasizes the amount paid to labeled the artist, to
right,
the performance side of the music. And that is problematic because if there wouldn't be any songs, there would be nothing to actually produce and to stream.
that's right,
There's the GEMA initiated a study, a study trying to find out how much songwriters and artists are getting paid by the streaming platforms, and songwriters get 9.7% of the money going out. Labels get about 40%. Artists get a bit more, about 11%.
Okay.
The publishers get even less, they get like 5%.
5%. Wow. Okay.
And 30% goes to the streaming platform.
Mm.
Which I can understand in a way, because they need to host the servers, they need to bring the library together, they need to do the marketing, they need to do the members in the and the subscriber admission and organizing all that. But still, it's a bit out of balance for the songwriters. If the performing rights side gets 4 to 5 times as much as the songwriter's side, just doesn't make any sense anymore. It used to make sense, or at least it was a bit more, it was seen to be okay, let's put it that way, when CDs were pressed, because the labels had to produce these quite vast numbers of actual physical products and then had to ship them everywhere. But they didn't need to do that anymore. They just put it online, and that's about it. Of course, the music needs to be produced and all that, and the artwork needs to be designed, and that's still a huge amount of the actual budget.
Right.
But still, that labels get 4 times as much as songwriters doesn't make any sense. Maybe like twice as much.
Yeah, I think it's a huge transformation that like the music industry is going through right now. I think and you as a musician have been affected so much. So I think it really helps you and better understand the needs, right? And contribute to this kind of new music economy, like try to determine how it should be. This is like, a big topic of NFTs is how do you think they will help musicians, this digitalizing music and ownership from the very beginning? Will it help musicians such as yourself, on the long run? What would you say, like just, without maybe too many details?
I used to study musicology here in Berlin with an emphasis on pop music.
Okay.
And I had one professor who said, well, in the 50s and 60s, we had vinyls and we had the post service, which could distribute vinyls in all the world. But did people actually buy the vinyls in Chile? It's similar with the internet. It's a lot easier to distribute your music all around the world.
Right.
But will those people in, for example, Chile, actually, I've got some listeners in Chile because I was in the TV there once, but
we'll have one speaker from Chile on the Create Summit.
Oh, fantastic! Great. Maybe he's seen the show where I was in. So just because we have the internet doesn't mean that people actually do listen. And this saying is actually quite true, that the biggest problem isn't the distribution. The biggest problem is actually being known that people actually do it. Like, listen to the music, or buy some merch, or support you on Patreon, or get an NFT. And that would be the biggest problem for musicians, because we're coming more and more into a world of, we're doing music, that is our product, or something similar. But how do we actually approach people, and how do we convince them to support us? And the NFT is just a different means of doing that.
Yeah.
That's why I think there's still huge challenges, and it won't be a salvation, but it will be definitely a solution for many artists to be able to have an extra income stream.
That's what's important. Right. And of course, it's all about, a lot of things are about marketing and connecting, right, with the right people. But how much there are so many issues. There are so many ways, right, how your music can reach people, and of course there are some algorithms in play, but there is also some PR, there is some marketing, there is some word of mouth, there is some luck sometimes involved, but of course hoping that your music will get to the right people at the right time. And this is actually what digitalizing really enables, right? So that your your vinyl will not reach a person in Chile in 50 years, but in 5 minutes, something like that. So you're recording. But yeah, it's a huge topic, I know, and there's so much development going on. So when we do our next Create Summit, I'd love to have you on the panel, and we'll talk only about, this what's going on in the music industry, and I'm sure there will be some new developments until then, and then we can reflect and maybe find some solutions.
Yes, that'd be lovely. I'd love to.
That would be amazing. Thank you. Um, so, and we've talked like now about the major challenges right now, right? And you are putting so much effort, volunteering for Gemma and writing your own music and performing still. So you're really helping other people, inspiring them through your music. And my question to you is, how has music and art in general have helped you personally, maybe during your life, on your life journey?
Thank you for saying that, first of all. Yeah, it does mean a lot to me because, in principle, that is why I'm doing music, is to make a positive impact on the people who are listening, on the people who see me performing. I love performing. It's just the absolute best. Doing my music, first of all, really helps me with like just staying sane. Years and years and years ago, as a little child, the music of others, and still nowadays, when I listen to certain songs or music, it keeps me sane. It shows me the beauty in the world. It shows me the positivity in the world. It shows me why we're here, in principle, to enjoy this art. It's just such a big and emotional thing. For me, it started back in the day listening to Beatles' best of albums and watching the movie The Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah,
I just loved it. I was stunned. The music, the energy, and all that. I was just like, I
that's a
knew
great
like,
one.
oh,
Yeah.
damn, I need to be a musician. It's just amazing.
How old
And
were you?
I must have been like 4 or 5.
Oh my God. Okay.
And every time the movie was on, or we had it on a VHS, and then later on a DVD, and I was like dressing up with a hat and doing all the moves and dancing and just
I
skipping
love it.
around, listening to James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin. It was just wow. I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned and motivated uh, to become a musician myself and trying to share that kind of energy with other people.
And you're doing it very well. And I
Thank
said,
you.
I
Thank you.
really, your songs just really inspired me today in the morning, when I realized all the to-do list that is still on for our Create Summit, and like, why am I doing that to myself, and to my team? And then when I listen to your songs, they're really, okay, now I understand. And this is not an understanding that comes from your mind, it's an understanding that comes from your heart, I think, and soul.
Definitely.
And that really like kind of lights you up, when I listen to your songs, to Together and Hope and Love, and I kind of, no, here it is. Okay, now
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
I can get through another day. And the wig. No, so amazing. Thank you. And thank you for sharing. This is such a great story. And this is, I think this is your motto, putting rock and roll into folk. Like, how did it come? How did you come up with that? And why rock and roll?
Uh, I loved and still love the early rock and roll and the 50s music and also the 60s music. with Little Richard and of course Elvis and Fats Domino and all those artists, and Chuck Berry. When I became a singer-songwriter, playing only with my acoustic guitar, and later added a stomp box and sang to it, I always knew I wanted to bring something fiery, and then that's why I came up with rock and roll, which is the fiery part, and folk, which is the man standing there with an acoustic guitar,
Right.
together. And my songs are a bit of both, and I've got some songs which are more rock and roll. I've got some songs which are more folk, and I just found it a bit of a witty thing, to be honest.
And I think it's appealing to a large group of people. So that's also cool. Yeah, thank you. I love the motto. And I always remember your performance when we first met, and at this event in Berlin, and I think it was in Spandau. It
Yeah.
was kind of like a folk event,
Yeah.
for open air, and it was so fitting. Like I really immediately felt, you're like the perfect person, to be there and to
Thank you.
inspire people. And remind us also, like, it's not only inspiring, it's just reminding of there's something else that is there in life for us, right? Like not just basic
Definitely.
material things, but also something like connecting, right? Like listening to your soul or to your heart, or following your desires as a child to become a musician.
Yeah.
That's so inspirational. Thank you. And now speaking of, your love of performing, and the live performance that I happened to witness, that I loved. And what would be your most favorite and least favorite part in making music, or being a musician overall?
The most favorite is definitely performing.
Yeah.
Standing on stage and having people sing and clap along and like experiencing that together is just it's just beyond compare.
Yeah.
The least favorite part is probably doing your taxes, something like that. But with the problem with me is I love all the bits
Okay.
which make up my job. I love songwriting. It really gets me going too. I love recording when everything comes together and it sounds really good. That part especially. I love performing, as I said. I love talking about music and inspirations and networking and all of that.
Okay.
So but I even enjoy crunching numbers to do my books. So, but it's probably something, and probably like waiting around. It's a lot of waiting around to when you're like touring.
Yeah.
Like get to a venue and then you sound check and then you're ready and you're like, okay then, and then like, okay, the show is on in 2 hours, like nobody's there yet, and you're just waiting and you're like,
What do you do in those moments, in those 2 hours?
I prepare,
Okay.
trying to get into the mindset of being able to put on the best show.
What's your ritual, if you don't mind sharing?
I do quite a lot of vocal exercises. I
Okay.
do a bit of guitar exercises as well. I go through my songs, and occasionally I meditate. Just a calming inner perspective, and finding myself, and knowing or getting to know myself a bit better, and then sharing it with the people.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.